Every single night, your brain creates an entire world. Characters, places, conversations that never happened. It builds all of this, shows it to you, and then deletes it before you wake up. You spend roughly 6 years of your life inside this world. And here's the part that should bother you. Nobody, not a single scientist on Earth, can tell you why. For most of human history, dreams weren't a mystery. They were messages. The ancient Egyptians kept dream dictionaries. Priests interpreted royal dreams as instructions from the gods. The Greeks built entire temples, called asclepions, where sick people would sleep, hoping the god of medicine would visit them in a dream and tell them how to get better. In some cultures, dreams weren't even considered private. If you dreamed about your neighbor, that dream belonged to both of you. It could be discussed, acted on, sometimes even punished. Then, in 1899, Sigmund Freud published The Interpretation of Dreams. He argued dreams were disguised wishes, your unconscious mind sneaking forbidden thoughts past your conscious sensor while you slept. For decades, this was the dominant theory. Dreams were secret messages from a hidden part of yourself, waiting to be decoded. Then scientists actually started looking at the brain while it dreamed, and the wish fulfillment theory ran into a problem. In 1953, two researchers at the University of Chicago, Eugene Oserinsky and Nathaniel Kleitman, discovered something while watching sleeping subjects' eyes. Every 90 minutes or so, the eyes began moving rapidly back and forth even though the eyelids stayed closed. They called it rapid eye movement, REM sleep. When they woke subjects during these REM periods, almost everyone reported vivid dreams. Wake someone during non-REM sleep, and most of the time they'd report nothing, or something vague, a feeling, a fragment. This was the first real foothold science had into the dreaming brain, and it led to something unexpected. Using EEG machines, researchers found that during REM sleep, the brain's electrical activity looks almost identical to being awake. Not like sleep at all. In fact, some regions of the brain are more active during REM sleep than during many waking tasks. Your brain isn't shutting down to dream. It's doing something that electrically looks a lot like being conscious, while your body lies there completely unaware of the room around it. But here's where it gets stranger. If your brain is this active, why doesn't your body act out what's happening? The answer is something called REM atonia. During REM sleep, your brainstem sends out a chemical signal that essentially switches off the connection between your brain and your major muscles. Your brain can scream, "Run," as loud as it wants. Your legs will not move. This isn't a passive shutdown. It's an active, deliberate process. Your brainstem is working hard to keep your body still while your brain runs a full simulation of being awake. In 1986, researchers studying cats found that when they disabled this paralysis mechanism in the brainstem, the cats would leap up during REM sleep, stalking, pouncing, attacking things that weren't there, fully asleep, fully dreaming, and fully moving. In humans, this exact failure has a name: REM sleep behavior disorder. People with this condition physically act out their dreams, sometimes punching, kicking, even running, while remaining completely unconscious. So your brain builds an entire interactive world, engages your motor cortex as if you're really moving through it, and then deliberately disconnects your body so you don't act any of it out. That's an enormous amount of biological effort, for something scientists still can't agree is necessary at all. So what is all of this for? There's no shortage of theories, and that's part of the problem. When a field has this many competing explanations, it usually means none of them have won. One major theory: dreams help you process emotions. Studies have shown that REM sleep helps defang emotionally charged memories. You remember what happened, but the emotional sting fades faster if you got good REM sleep that night. Another theory: dreams are about memory consolidation, your brain replaying the day's events, strengthening some connections, pruning others, like a nightly software update for your neural pathways. A third theory, called the threat simulation theory, suggests dreaming evolved as a kind of rehearsal space, a safe place to practice responding to danger. This might explain why so many dreams involve being chased, falling, or facing threats. Your ancestors who dreamed about predators may have reacted faster to real ones. And then there's a theory that sounds almost like science fiction, the activation synthesis hypothesis. This one argues dreams might not mean anything at all. During REM sleep, your brainstem fires off essentially random electrical signals. Your cortex, the part of your brain responsible for thought and reasoning, receives these signals and does what it always does. It tries to make sense of them. It builds a story, characters, settings, cause and effect. Not because there's a hidden message, but because your brain is a story-making machine, and it cannot stop even when the input is noise. In this view, every dream you've ever had might be your brain desperately trying to find meaning in static. Here's what makes this even stranger. In 2010, researchers at Harvard ran an experiment with a video game called Tetris. They had subjects play Tetris for hours, then tracked what happened when they fell asleep. The majority of subjects, including some with amnesia who couldn't even remember playing the game, reported dreaming about falling shapes, blocks rotating, lines clearing. Their brains had been so saturated with one specific pattern that it bled directly into their dreams, even in people whose conscious minds had no memory of the source. This tells us something unsettling. Your dreams aren't necessarily about your life, your fears, or your wishes. Sometimes they're just leftover patterns, echoes of whatever your brain happened to be doing recently, replaying themselves with no editor, no narrator, and no off switch. And then there's the question almost nobody asks. If dreams are this important enough for your brain to build a fully immersive simulation every single night, important enough to justify shutting down your entire muscular system, why do you forget almost all of them? Within 5 minutes of waking, you've typically forgotten half of your dream. Within 10 minutes, 90% of it is gone. Researchers have a theory for this too. The same brain chemical needed to form lasting memories, norepinephrine, is almost completely absent during REM sleep. Your brain might be running this entire simulation in a state specifically designed to prevent it from being remembered, which raises an obvious question. If dreaming matters enough to require this much biological machinery, but not enough to be remembered, what is it actually for? Tonight, your brain will do this again. It will build a world, populate it with people who don't exist, places you've never been, conversations that never happened. It will run your motor cortex as if you're moving through that world. It will shut off your muscles so you don't act any of it out. And by the time you're fully awake, most of it will already be gone. This has happened every single night of your life. It's happening to everyone you know, right now, tonight. An entire hidden world, built fresh every time you close your eyes. Experienced by a version of you that exists for a few hours and then is never spoken to again. And in the morning, you'll get up, make coffee, and go about your day, without a second thought for the elaborate, completely unexplained thing your brain just did. 6 years of your life, spent somewhere science still can't fully name.